Hey everyone, ready for another deep dive?
Always.
Awesome. So today we're tackling customer insights analyst interviews.
Ooh, yeah, helping you land that dream job.
Exactly. We're using this Indeed article on common questions as our guide. And lucky for us,
Lucky for them.
right? Our expert here has actually been the one doing the hiring for these roles. Insider knowledge is key, right?
Absolutely. Knowing what interviewers look for gives you such an edge.
So let's jump right in. This Indeed article, it starts with skills. And it's not just the tech stuff.
Oh.
They highlight an eye for detail, effective communication skills, and technical proficiency.
Makes sense, right? I mean, customer insight analysts, they're dealing with mountains of data.
Yeah, like swimming in it all day.
More like, gotta find the treasure in that data ocean. And honestly, you'd be surprised how often a tiny data error
Oh, I bet.
can lead to huge, expensive mistakes. I remember this one time, a company launched a whole campaign aimed at teenagers.
Oh, no.
But their data accidentally included a bunch of senior citizens. Talk about a marketing misfire.
Yeah, I bet that wasn't the target audience they had in mind.
Not at all. So yeah, an eye for detail, super crucial.
Absolutely. And then you've got the whole communication piece.
Oh, for sure.
You can't just, hand a CEO a spreadsheet and be like, here's the deal.
Exactly. You have to explain complex findings in a way that anyone can understand, even if they don't know anything about data.
Right.
It's like translating data into a story even your grandma could understand.
I love that. Okay, so we've got our detail-oriented detective and our data storyteller.
Uh-huh.
But then, of course, you need the technical chops, too. The article mentions SQL, Excel, SAS, R, Tableau, Power BI.
Don't forget Python.
Oh, yeah, Python. Did I miss any others?
I think you got most of the big ones.
Yeah.
But it's worth noting that each tool has its own strengths. You know, like
Yep.
you might use SQL to pull specific customer data from a massive database,
Okay.
and then use Tableau to make a nice visual report that shows buying trends.
So it's like having a whole toolbox.
Uh-huh.
You wouldn't use a hammer to screw in a light bulb.
Exactly.
You got to choose the right tool for the job. Now, let's get to the actual interview questions.
All right, let's do it.
The article lists a bunch, but we'll focus on a few key ones. You know, the ones that really show what you're made of.
The ones that make you shine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So first up, how do you ensure data accuracy?
Classic.
Yeah. And the sample answer emphasizes double-checking, cross-referencing, basically being super meticulous.
Gotta be.
But I'm curious, from your experience hiring for these roles, what makes an answer really stand out for this question?
It's all about showcasing a systematic approach, you know?
Yeah.
Like anyone can say they'll double check their work, right?
Sure.
But if you can describe a specific process,
I see.
like using data validation tools or comparing your findings against another reliable source,
Right.
that shows you're not just being careful, you're being strategic about it.
So it's like having a data checking checklist,
Yeah.
not just winging it.
Exactly. That meticulousness, it really impresses interviewers because it shows you understand that inaccurate data, it's a big deal.
It can have real consequences.
Absolutely.
Okay, next question. What is your process for analyzing raw data? This one can feel overwhelming.
Oh, yeah.
You're just faced with this mountain of raw data. Like, where do you even begin?
Well, the sample answer breaks it down nicely. Organizing, cleaning, applying statistical tools,
Right.
and then interpreting the results to make those business decisions.
But there's got to be more to it than just knowing the steps, right?
Oh, definitely. What's really key here is showcasing your thought process.
So, like, how you approach that messy data set.
Exactly. What steps do you take to make sense of it all?
So it's about showing you can think critically.
Yes. Problem solving. Anyone can memorize a process from a textbook.
But can you apply it?
Exactly. That's what interviewers want to see.
Okay, here's one I always find interesting. Can you give an example of a project where you use data to create a strategy?
Ooh, a good one.
Because it's all about showing results, right?
Absolutely. You got to walk the walk. The sample answer talks about identifying purchasing habits and increasing sales by 15%,
Yeah.
which is a great start. But I always want to hear the why behind the strategy.
Okay.
What specific insight did that data reveal, and how did it lead to that change in approach?
So it's the difference between saying, I baked a cake,
Uh-huh.
and explaining how you chose the recipe, tweaked the ingredients, how you got that perfect rise.
Yes. The details, they make the story come alive, and they make you a more memorable candidate.
Right. Okay, one more before we move on. How would you explain a complex data concept to a non-technical person?
Ah, the communication challenge.
Right. because you might be presenting your findings to people who don't speak data.
Exactly. So how do you bridge that gap? The sample answer mentions simplifying things, using visuals, focusing on what matters to the listener.
Like that saying, explain it to me like I'm 5.
Exactly. Except maybe not 5.
Right.
More like your CEO who just wants the bottom line.
Exactly. You got to tailor your message to your audience.
For sure.
Okay, so we've talked about being detail-oriented, communicating clearly, showing off those technical skills. But there's another question the article mentions. How do you stay updated on the latest industry trends and tools?
Important one.
Yeah, because this field moves so fast.
Oh, it does. The data landscape is constantly changing, so staying ahead of the curve is essential.
Right. And the sample answer, it mentions webinars, newsletters, professional organizations, networking.
All good stuff.
But I think what really shines through is genuine curiosity, a passion for learning.
Oh, absolutely. You gotta love what you do. And interviewers, they can spot a genuine data enthusiast a mile away.
So it's not just about checking boxes, it's about truly being interested in what's new in the data world.
100%.
So far, we've covered a lot of ground. Key skills, those crucial questions, and even how to stay ahead of the game in this fast-paced field.
We've been busy.
We have. But what happens when you walk into that interview room and things get a little tricky?
Oh.
You know, those unexpected situations that can throw you off your game.
Oh, yeah, the curveballs. Those are always fun.
Yeah. And the Indeed article actually has a section on that, which I thought was really helpful.
Good.
So let's explore those challenges in the next part.
Here's where it gets interesting.
Buckle up.
Interviews, they can be a bit like a minefield, right? You never know what tricky situations might pop up.
Right. And this Indeed article, it actually has a section on that.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Oh, it's really helpful. So let's say you're in the interview and there's a disagreement about how to interpret the data.
Okay, yeah.
Maybe you see a trend that the interviewer doesn't, or vice versa. What's the best way to handle that?
That's a great question. And it happens more often than you think.
I bet.
The key is to stay calm, objective, focused on the data itself.
Right.
The article suggests going back to the methodology.
Okay.
Like, how was the data collected? What assumptions were made? By walking through those steps, you can often pinpoint where that discrepancy lies.
So instead of getting defensive or trying to win the argument,
Right.
you're sort of collaborating to figure out why you're seeing different things in the data.
Exactly. It's about showing you're open to different perspectives
Yeah.
and that you value that data-driven approach even when it leads to tough conversations.
Makes sense.
And sometimes you might even learn something new from the interviewer's interpretation.
I like that. Turning a potential conflict into a learning opportunity.
Exactly.
Okay, here's another scenario that can be a bit daunting. What if you're given a data set that has missing data
Oh, yeah.
or incomplete data?
Happens all the time.
How do you even analyze that?
Well, that's a really common challenge, in real-world data analysis.
For sure.
The article recommends evaluating the extent of the missing data first.
Okay, so like how much is missing?
Yeah. Is it a small portion you can work around, or is it significant? Could it skew the analysis? And if it's the latter, you might need to consider using imputation methods.
Imputation methods. Okay, for those of us who aren't data scientists, break that down for us.
Sure. So imputation methods are basically statistical techniques that help you fill in those missing data points.
I see.
There are various methods, each with its own strengths and limitations.
Yeah.
But the key is to be transparent about using them. You don't want to be making up data,
Right.
but you also don't want to be paralyzed by those gaps in the information.
So it's like being a detective, trying to piece together a puzzle with a few missing pieces.
Exactly.
You use the clues you have, but you're upfront about the fact that there are some gaps in the story.
Great analogy. And that's exactly the kind of critical thinking and problem solving that interviewers are looking for. Remember, these tricky situations, they're less about having the right answer.
Right.
It's more about showcasing your thought process, your ability to adapt.
Like those reality TV cooking shows where they take away an ingredient at the last minute.
I love those.
Right.
Yeah.
And the chefs who can think on their feet and come up with that creative solution.
Those are the ones that win.
Exactly. They impress the judges.
Totally. And just like in those cooking shows, confidence and a positive attitude can go a long way. Even if you encounter a challenge, show that you're resourceful, that you're solution-oriented.
It makes a difference.
It does. It can really make you stand out.
Okay, so we've talked about those like, oh no moments, like data disagreements, missing information.
Right.
But there's another potential pitfall I wanted to mention. What happens if the interviewer asks you about a tool or a technique that you're not super familiar with?
Yeah.
Do you just admit you don't know? Or is there a way to sort of spin it?
Honesty is always the best policy. Trying to bluff your way through a technical question, that's risky.
Right.
But instead of just saying, I don't know, use it as an opportunity. Show your eagerness to learn. You could say something like, I haven't had a chance to work with that specific tool yet, but I've used similar ones,
Right.
and I'm always eager to expand my skill set.
So it's about turning a potential negative into a positive
Exactly.
by highlighting your willingness to learn and adapt.
100%. It shows that you're not afraid to step outside your comfort zone.
Yeah.
And that you're committed to continuous growth as a data professional.
That's a great way to frame it. It's like saying, I may not be an expert in everything, but I'm a quick learner, and I'm excited to tackle new challenges.
Exactly. And that kind of attitude, it's incredibly valuable, especially in a field like data analysis.
For sure. This is great. We've covered so much ground, from the key skills, those crucial questions, navigating tricky scenarios, even highlighting your willingness to learn.
Yep.
But there's one more thing I'm curious about. Career paths.
Okay.
The Indeed article, it mentions potential growth opportunities within customer insights, which is great. But I'd love to hear your take on the bigger picture. What other roles or industries could this expertise be valuable in?
That's a fantastic question.
Yeah.
And one that a lot of aspiring data professionals should be thinking about. The skills you develop as a customer insights analyst, they're so versatile, they can open doors to a wide range of opportunities.
So it's not just about understanding customers.
Right.
It's about understanding data in any context.
Exactly. Think about it. You're becoming adept at gathering, analyzing, interpreting data,
Yeah.
and then communicating those insights in a clear and compelling way.
It's a valuable skill set.
It is. And these skills, they're in high demand across so many fields. Marketing, product development, finance, healthcare, you name it.
Wow.
You could be helping companies understand market trends, predict future demand, personalize customer experiences.
That's amazing.
You could even be identifying patterns in medical data to improve patient outcomes.
Wow, that opens up a lot of possibilities. So how can someone going into a customer insights analyst interview,
Yeah.
how can they highlight those transferable skills? What should they be emphasizing to show they're not just a specialist in one area, but that they're this versatile data professional who can adapt?
It's all about framing your experiences and accomplishments in a way that showcases those broader applications.
Okay.
For example, instead of just saying you analyzed customer data,
Right?
talk about how you use data-driven insights to inform strategic decisions that led to tangible results.
I see.
Did you identify a new customer segment?
Yeah.
Did you discover a pattern that led to increased sales or improved customer satisfaction?
I see.
Those are the stories that will resonate with interviewers.
Right.
They demonstrate the value you can bring to their organization.
It's about connecting the dots for them,
Exactly.
showing them how your skills can translate to their needs.
Yeah.
But we're getting ahead of ourselves.
It's like you're saying, hey, look, I'm not just good at one thing. I've got all these data skills.
Right.
I can apply them in different ways.
This has been so insightful. I feel like anyone listening is going to walk into their interview feeling so much more prepared.
I hope so.
We covered those key skills, tackled those tough interview questions, even explored different career paths.
It's all about being ready.
It is. So any final words of wisdom for our listeners as they get ready for their big interview?
Well, remember, preparation is key. Brush up on those common questions. Practice talking about your experiences.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to let your passion for data shine through. That enthusiasm, it's contagious.
It really is. And if you get hit with a curveball question,
Oh, yeah. The curveball.
just remember those chefs on those cooking shows, right? Stay calm, think on your feet, show them you can handle anything.
Exactly. Show them you're not just a data cruncher. You're a strategic thinker who can turn insights into action.
Couldn't have said it better myself. One final thought for you as you head into that interview. The Indeed article mentioned career growth within customer insights, which is great. But remember what we talked about. Those skills you're honing, they're valuable across so many fields.
That's right.
So as you're preparing, think about how your experiences could translate to other roles or industries that interest you.
Yeah, good idea.
Maybe jot down some examples of how you've used data to drive results,
Right.
even if it wasn't specifically in a customer insights role. You never know what opportunities might open up if you showcase that versatility.
Great advice. Keep learning, stay curious, and best of luck in your interview.
You've got this. Keep diving deep into the world of data, and until next time, happy analyzing.